So the sailing season has finished on Duyfken and now we're into maintenance mode. So over the next 3 months there's an awful lot of work that needs to be done to the Duyfken.
This coming Monday we're pulling out our foremast in order to refresh it and inspect it and make sure everything's in good working order. So we're taking out the foremast and the bowsprit, and to get ready for that we had to take off all the yards, which are being refurbished at the same time. We're also going to be pulling the mizzen, and to deal with that we had to take off all of the supports. We've brought down all of the yards and are currently in the process of refurbishing those and giving those a good thorough inspection. We've also had to disconnect as much of the rig as we can while still maintaining a little bit of structural support. So we've pulled down some stays, we've pulled down all of the running rig and have left it pretty close to bare stick, so that on Monday morning when the crane shows up, we're ready to just pick it up and go and keep moving along with all of the repairs and maintenance that we have to do.
Do you reckon there's going to be much to be done to the mast and the bowsprit?
Well, they're absolutely going to need to be scraped and sanded and given fresh coats of protective oils. I'm guessing that they're in pretty good condition. The rig's held up incredibly well for its entire lifetime, and I don't see any reason to really suspect a problem. But if there's something, we have shipwrights on site to deal with it.
With the bowsprit successfully on the wharf, it's time for the foremast. Weighing in at over a ton, dropping the mast here would probably mean going straight through the hull to the bottom. So it's a delicate operation for the crane barge to manoeuvre past all the obstacles and land it on the wharf gently. The hull gets anti-fouled every year, but the masts haven't been out for a close inspection for about 5. You can see where the foremast goes through the mast partners on the deck, and that mortise is where the tenon on the end of the bowsprit slots in.
So we just had to take the Duyfken out, turn her around and come in the other way because the crane arm wasn't long enough to get the mizzen out. So we spun around and come back in. Now he's spinning the crane around and we'll lift out the mizzen mast.
The cross trees where you stand when aloft, like a crow's nest, has to be taken off, and that needs the help of a hydraulic jack. A very large amount of rot was discovered in the mizzen mast, so the shipwrights will have to decide whether it can be fixed or the whole mast needs to be replaced.
That's a shake.
Also looking at the shakes, there's some shakes got some cracks in the timber, which were previously filled with beeswax. So we're digging out the beeswax and looking at how much good wood there is between the shakes and the rot.
So that's the beeswax we got out yesterday. We're actually going to reheat it, melt it down, get the bits of wood out that will float off the top, and then reuse the beeswax.
Beeswax is traditionally used to seal the cracks and prevent water penetration. Using a heat gun gets the wax right into the timber.
There's much more. There's a lot of hereditary or genetic issues.
With the running rigging now accessible, all the blocks have to be scraped and sanded back.
Sorry, your finger's in it.
Traditionally, all the timber gets coated in ship's brew.
So ship's brew was the combination of linseed and tung oil, and over time that goes black, as you can see here. And XLA is the new one that we're using, which is a combination of varnish and oil, and that keeps the natural timber colour, as you can see over here.
It's a bit early for Christmas decorations.
Yeah, we're hanging these up so that we can oil them, so that they don't stain everything.
All the timber is coated with as much Dexolé number 1 as it will take, normally about 8 to 10 coats. That's followed by 6 coats of Dexolé number 2, which is thicker and more like a varnish and gives a harder gloss finish. It takes quite a few weeks to scrape all the spars back to bare timber.
So here's Paula enjoying herself. Not really, scraping's hard work. So you can see the hole in the mizzen mast has got a little bit bigger, but Andrew's about to epoxy some gravos in.
Gravos, also known as Dutchies, are timber inserts that replace the sections of rotten timber. For large areas to be filled like this one, timber sections are laminated together over a period of days, building up the insert until the required height is achieved. The final shaping of the insert in the mast will be done in place in a few weeks' time. All voids have to be filled, including the router track screw holes.
This is one of the cross trees for the foremast, and there was a small amount of rot in here, so I've just put a graving in, shaping it up now.
And yesterday there were other bits glued into the yard.
Yeah, yesterday we laminated in some pine gravings, and this morning I just brought them back to flush, and we're going to shape up the rest of it for a large bulk of pine in here.
So how many more bits do you reckon will be glued into it?
Probably another 5.
Wow.
Large lengths of Oregon, good clear Oregon.
So this is the tool shop at the museum where a lot of the big timber work gets done. This is the cross tree off the foremast part of it. There's a big split. It's now being fixed or glued. Hopefully.
So we put a few small gravos into the yard itself, and now this is the large piece to replace the large bit of rock we pulled out.
So this is going to be, what, 4 bits of timber laminated together or something?
5 at least, and likely to be 6. So it's all clamped up now. It should take about 24 hours to cure. About a week for a full cure.
Dudley's been a bad boy and he's in the stocks. Corey, what are you making?
So I'm currently making some replacement chafe gear for Duyfken's standing rig. So we have this old chafe gear that we took off when we took down the foremast. It's very stiff, so we're gonna make some new ones and replace them, have them fresh. And I'm just marking up the numbers so that I know to put the right amount of holes in the right section. And then a couple harder ones. And that'll shrink down to that size as the leather sits. You can already see the older ones shrinking compared to the new one.
Oh yeah.
With over 150 blocks, dead eyes and parrels needing many coats of oil, it takes months to treat them all. But as many can only be reached when the running rigging is down, they may not get this sort of attention again for another few years. The largest gravo for the mizzen has been constructed, and now it's time for the shipwrights to offer it up and see how it fits.
Centering it up, Steve.
The idea is to have no gaps bigger than a cigarette paper, and that's really hard to achieve.
Flip it over, see if it's going to sit up here all right.
More planing and gentle adjustment is needed. It takes time to get the perfect fit.
I am attaching chafe gear to the foretop yard barrel.
Because the other one wore out, didn't it?
It was very worn out. Is it still here? And that's the old one. So I've gone ahead and I've replaced this old leather on the foretop peril, and then I've just now replaced the small leather as well.
All the leatherwork is then coated in neat's foot oil, which is rendered from cattle shin bones and is traditionally used to condition and weatherproof leather. With all the oiling and restoration of the lower foremast completed, it can now be joined to the fore topmast. Mastic fills the gap to prevent any moisture from sitting between the two. A ratchet block, also known as a come-along, is used to pull the two together before bolting on the collar.
It is just doing a handful of tucks, just enough to hold the tail in.
Brendan is seizing on the strop that holds the forestay blocks using a heaving mallet, also known as a heaver. Meanwhile, the mizzen mast is getting built up even further with more laminations. The standing rigging is coated in Stockholm tar, distilled from pine trees. This protects the natural fibre rope from the elements. To see how it's made, I'll put a link to a fantastic video in the description below.
This is a pillow that the bowsprit rests upon. We've discovered a bit of rot in it.
So it was feared that water had got down through the pillow into the capping rail and maybe beyond.
Bit we've got to take out. So this whole chunk. Yes, definitely rot in there.
Cleared it.
Water had indeed got under the capping rail and into the apron.
That doesn't look good, does it?
This large timber joins the stem and goes well below the waterline. The Duyfken would have to be pulled out and taken to a shipyard.
Good morning. Today is a big day for Duyfken. We've been out of the water for 3 months. In that time period, we have replaced our apron. The apron is a big construct timber up forwards. It was rotten. It had to be replaced.
The Duyfken sailed a little dove across the seas, a Dutch love, with Janszoon's hand upon the helm, exploring lands a new realm. The Duyfken sails, a Dutch maiden bold, a story of discovery centuries old. Through waters wide she cut her way to lands unknown on that fateful day. Sail on Duyfken, sail on the sea, a ship of history for all to see.
The opportunity of being out of the water allowed a team of 7 to scrape back both the hull to bare timber and everything on deck. She was then coated with over 200 litres of deck soleil. The whole process took over 12 weeks.
She's looking great. We're going back in.
Rot had also been found in the forward 3 frame stems on the port side. These would be replaced over several weeks back at the museum. New oak forward capping rails then had to be constructed to fit exactly, and then epoxied, clamped and bolted into place.
Like a glove.
Like a glove.
Yeah, it's enough plants. As long as yeah, look at that. Beautiful ooze on these.
With all the hull and spars now oiled, and some of the rigging tarred, the Duyfken was looking new again.
Last time we talked, we were in the process of taking Duyfken apart. We are now, thankfully, verging on putting her back together. We've got the rails installed. We are just putting final coats of oil and tar on things that need oil and tar. And within the next couple of weeks, we should be putting the mast back in and starting the re-rig.
The masts were successfully lowered back into place, and the lengthy re-rigging would take several weeks. This is where careful labelling when the rig came down nearly a year ago comes into play. There are new manila lanyards, and these will be coated with Stockholm tar to protect them from the weather. They will then be tightened several times as they can stretch up to 10%. The mizzen-mast shrouds are new with no ratlins. Temporary ones have to be made so the top of the mast can be reached. Old lines are not wasted. They're made into shroud chafing gear and mats. The excitement is building as sailing again cannot be too far away. Why not come along and experience sailing in a 16th century tall ship on the best harbour in the world? We normally sail every Friday and Saturday, booked through the museum's website. And if you're in Hobart for the Australian Wooden Boat Festival in February next year, come along and say hello. We'll be there.
I'm Elliot, 2-6-8, 2-6-8.